right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. These are the night terrors. The light's a little brighter, isn't it? I guess you can just see more of me if that's what you're going for. I hope it is. I didn't really think about it. I guess I was looking around in here trying to find something because I usually keep it all dark, and then I forgot to turn it back down. So a little more bright, sunny outlook. I hope you like it. I could say I'm trying something new, but that would just be a lie. That wouldn't be accurate at all because I didn't really think about it until I'm looking at my camera going, wow, there's a lot of me there. But welcome, everybody. These are the Night Terrors. These are shorter format types of Paranormal Portal episodes. They are generally about an hour and just have to do with ghostly encounters. Not that we couldn't do something else, but that's just the easiest to find just gajillions of accounts and experiences that people have had. I think ghostly encounters are probably the most prolific type of paranormal experience there is. It's one that I'm really fascinated with because I've had several in my life. So, I'm fascinated with all of them, to be honest with you, whether it's UFO, cryptid, or ghostly, or even strange phenomena or unexplained things. I find those all very compelling because I think the paranormal is that's the proof of what's possible. I think we're just living in a small segment of this reality that we live in, and we don't seem to be fully aware of the entire dynamic range that's right out there for us. So, I don't know. That's why I love this stuff, and that's why it's always been my passion, because it just goes to show there's still magic and mystery in the universe. So, I like that part. But as such, during the show tonight, the phone lines will be open. If you want to call in and be a part of the show, you've got something of a paranormal experience of your own to share, then please feel free to call in. The number is 720-923-0500. 720-923-0500, or look right up here where I'm pointing that little microfiche of a number up there. That's the call-in number, so you can get a hold of us. Or me, rather. It's just me tonight. Me and my many personalities. So I'll be waiting here. If you want to call in, I'll be here to answer it, should it ring. But other than that, no, just remember tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Daniela Aiello will be with me here on the portal. She is, of course, co-host with Carrie Arnold on Bigfoot Odyssey, as well as her own channel, Hidden Existence, so on YouTube, and both of which are fantastic shows. And she's a wonderful person, and I'm looking forward to sharing the microphones with her tomorrow night. We'll have a great time, and I don't know, we'll just tear it up, see what we can get into. But and then remember, next Wednesday night, of course, Bobo, Mr. James Bobo Fay, will be joining us right here on the Paranormal Portal. In case you didn't hear about that announcement before now, I didn't announce it last night on the shows, but Bobo will be here on Wednesday, joining Don and myself for 2 hours on Wednesday's show. So really looking forward to that interview. He's, of course, I've been watching Bobo for years, and all of the things he's done, and I'm not just speaking about finding Bigfoot. He's been alumni on several different series and shows. He had more of a supportive role in those other shows, but still, he's been there. He's been doing the work for a long time. So it'll be great to have a chance to talk to him and just see about all of this. So I'm looking forward to it. So that's next Wednesday night. But that's all I got on the front end. I hope y'all are ready, because you hear my cat. My cat's just jonesing. Wow. I don't know what's going on. I think he's rebelling against the change of the seasons, too, because he's got to come in earlier now, so he's pouty. Sorry, buddy. All right, so I hope you're ready, because it's time for bed. All right, we are back at it. Let me just do a roll call here. See how many's are here. How many's are here? Andrew Finnerty's here. Aussie Tiger's here. Chris Jarvis, Digger Dog, Isaac Areola, Jenny Metz. Good to see you, Jenny, and good to see all the rest of you I've mentioned as well. Oh, he's mad. Kim Clark is here. Somebody just jumped in. Joe, good to see you, Joe. Shukakosi. Kim Clark, Les Hintz, Linda Bennett, Mary Bond. Portable Tree is here. Rebecca 79, Richard Elmore, Skunk Ape. Oh, Skunk Ape. I was like Skunkapi. Sorry. Yeah, Finding Nemo. All right, that's all I got. Family, or the farm rather, is here. Pharmacy Seeds is here. Megaphone Man, Mr. Naysay is here. We haven't talked to him since his journey, but we're congratulating him, of course, on his successful journey from his home up by the Fargo area to the capital of Minnesota to raise awareness for Gulf War illness. The Rotman, Mr. Ken is here, and YTFB Chris. Good to see you guys. And if anybody I missed, I do apologize. I am Pam just came in, though. Hi, Pam. And if I missed anybody, I do apologize. Oh, Kitty Honey. Hi, Kitty Honey. That's a good name, Kitty Honey. I got Kitty Krabby here in the house, so if you hear the meowing, that's what's going on. My cat's not happy with me because I brought him in. It's getting yucky out. I don't know. So anyway, reason for the Paranormal Portal number being so small is Brent Thomas doesn't want people to call in. What? Brent is yet to make it bigger so he can mention every show or all of the above. I don't know what's the giveaway here, Aussie. Since you're doing a quiz on my promotions here, what are you giving away for the correct answer? I don't know. I'm just encouraging people to work their eyesight. I love the peanut gallery. Thank you for that. But anyway, I got a bunch of paranormal stories ready for you guys, so I hope you are ready, and we'll dig into that. I'm not sure how to take that. Is that passive aggressive or is that just being cheeky? I'm not sure. I'll have to ponder that. All right, so from New Mexico is the first one tonight. It has to do with apparitions, voices, and touches. My name is Sakamoto, and I'll tell you something that happened to me when I was about 4 years of age. I've only recently been telling this story and other stories, and I've been telling people about it ever since I learned what I believed in. It was insanely different from what I thought at the time. Not sure what all that meant, but anyway, when I was little and only had one dog at the time, one of my parents would take him on a walk, and the other would stay home to play hide and seek with me. It was so I wouldn't get bored, and because the dog would always give away our hiding places. And one night in the late fall or early summer, at about 9 o'clock, my dad was walking our dog, and my mom was home playing hide and seek with me. After about 4 rounds, I was the one seeking. I counted to 10 in the living room, facing the fireplace. Only 10 because I really couldn't count very high at that age. Yeah, it does get to be a problem when you're trying to go for the big games. I searched most of the house, which was really very, very small. Only one story and not too complicated. When I couldn't find my mom, I decided to start from the beginning. Well, I started at the fireplace and checked behind the chair, which was right next to it, and I was about to give up when I turned around and looked into the entryway. The living room is right across from our entryway, yeah. And it connects to a short hallway and the kitchen as well. I turned around a bit and saw what looked like a 3D shadow, gray and black, silently, very silently, run from the hallway and into the kitchen. Well, me being only 4 at the time, I thought it was my mom. So I followed it into the kitchen and looked around there and in the dining room, but I didn't find my mom. Even though 2 of our hide-and-seek rules were never change places unless you want to be found and never hide in the garage or outside. Well, I checked the garage, and I never found her there, so I just gave up. She called me from her room where she was hiding behind the bed. The problem with this is my parents' room is on the complete other side of the house that I saw the shadow running towards. I said, "Mom, I saw you run from the hall." And she replied, saying that she was there all along. Now, as you probably are saying, that was probably just my shadow. I wasn't running at the time. I was turning. The shadow was also way too tall to be mine. Could my mom have been lying? I never heard any footsteps, so isn't it a bit strange that isn't it a bit strange that I saw it run into the kitchen and I saw nothing exit through the dining room into the garage and heard nothing open? Well, at that point in my life, I didn't understand the concept of a ghost. So I never had a thought that it wasn't my mom. I just starting to suspect that it was a few years after. But then I knew. I finally told my mom what I had seen that night when I told her I was 11, and she looked at me like she believed everything. Well, then she told me that before I was born, my dad came home from work on 2 occasions, very upset. Both those times, my mom had looked into the entryway and seen 2 shadow-like figures side by side. One was tall and the one was short. And she told me that she believes that they were guardian angels, looking out for him in his time of need, just trying to calm him down. I remember that night he had come home angry from being sprayed by a skunk. Oh my God. I believe I saw the tall figure that very night. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I guess guardian angels could be shadow figures as well. So I don't know what you think of that, folks, but it could be anything though. I don't think, again, I say this quite a bit, but I think that spirits can appear however they want to. And if they're not trying to make themselves widely known, they may choose a shadowy kind of figure. That doesn't automatically mean it's a dark entity. It doesn't always mean that. I think that, we're kind of still programmed under the old black and white rules of the cowboy movies. The good guys wore white hats. The bad guys wore black hats. And you could always tell who the bad guys were because they had black hats on. But it's just not that cut and dried. And so I think that's very much true in the world of spirits, that just because you see something dark doesn't mean you've seen a dark entity. You've seen something that appeared dark. That's all. So try not to jump to conclusions. And besides, I think when we are confronted with truly dark, horrible things, you will know it. You will know it through your whole being. It won't be some ambiguous presence. It will be, you'll feel sick. You'll feel like you're carrying like the air thickens and there's a foul feeling in the air. I mean, when you're around true evil, you will know you're around true evil. You can't mistake it. It just permeates you. It just feels like, oh no. So, in a situation like this, it could be just, maybe it's guides, maybe it's guardian spirits, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. Maybe it's ancestors, maybe it's any number of things, but I do think that that's pretty cool. That's a cool story. All right, let's move on. Go to the next one here. And this is, let's see, am I doing good? I think we're doing good. This one is coming from Illinois. Has to do with a haunted life. So most of my experiences, but not all, have mainly occurred in my family's first home. This first handful of experiences did occur in that house. So we're getting several in this one, ladies and gentlemen, so buckle up. This is going to be good. It says, when I was 6 or 7 years old, my playroom was in our basement, as was most children's that I had talked to, but this was little to no problem, really. I could play and make a mess until my heart's content, and I could hear and see my mom when she came down to do laundry. I had quite a few toys, and I can thank being the first child in the family and having overly doting grandparents for that. And would just leave them all over the place. And when I was quite done playing, when I was quite done playing with them, I had a few toys that were absolute favorites. One being a wind-up toy called the Love Bug, which was simply a fluffy pink thing with a big red heart that would walk. The other toy I held in such high esteem was my Beetlejuice doll. He was a pull-string doll that would speak along with spin his head if you pressed a button in his neck. One afternoon, I was playing in the basement, as I usually did, and I heard a noise from one of the toy boxes. And naturally, being a young child, I wanted to see if I somehow obtained a new puppy or had crawled into the box to surprise me. Well, no sooner had I gotten to the box that I heard a familiar grinding noise. I turned around and saw that my love bug walking around, and I thought maybe I hadn't killed off the energy from the last time I wound it up, so I let it walk itself dead. And then I heard Beetlejuice. Well, even at 7-ish, I knew that toy couldn't talk without someone pulling the string. I found him and picked him up and asked him why he was talking, And then the head did a spin. Oh no. And I did not touch the button to make it do so. I ran screaming from the basement and had been frightened to go into alone until the day we moved out of that house, which was subsequently 11 years later. Not too soon after being scared to death of the basement, I started having odd things happen. I used to have nightmares, which didn't seem out of the place for a young child, and I would wake up and insist on sleeping in my parents' room. Regularly, I would sleep later than them and wake up to a lot of movement on the bed. And the first few times, I thought it was my father being fun and making the bed move. Nope, that would have been great. This was far from great. I would wake up, and when I opened my eyes, I would see legs. Disembodied legs dancing on the bed. I could feel them, I could see them, and I was scared. They were cut off below the hip, but danced in pairs despite being separated. This would only happen in their room, though. Never once in my room did I have this problem. It would also occur if I was simply watching a movie in their room and dancing by myself on the bed. Lastly, for this bundle of tales in passing are a few years later down the road. I was about 11 years old, my brother was 8, and my sister was 5. I was watching television in our den area, which opened directly into the landing for our back door. I had heard some tapping coming from that area and assumed it was our dog doing the pee-pee dance, but it wasn't. When I turned to look, I saw a girl, a very young girl with her back turned to me, who appeared to be engrossed in whatever she was doing. By the time I turned back to watch TV, it registered that this girl was not my sister, so I turned back quickly, and in those few seconds, she was gone with absolutely no sound. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to share with you all my stories. I look forward to sharing more. I look forward to reading more. Yeah. There is a second installment by this person, so I guess we could pull that open just for the continuity's sake. This one is... Okay, so it's, again, Illinois, Apparitions, Voices, and Touches. Sorry, the minion's down. Hopefully... Hold on a sec. There. I had to use the PA system, which is me going, hey! I'm so professional here, ladies and gentlemen. All the best technology and loud voices. Hi. So, all right. So this is again the same author as recorded those last encounters, and this one is: as I grew up, I started to notice other things happening that were considerably out of place. Within a few weeks of seeing the small girl on my basement landing, I started to hear really odd noises. My dog, a 45-pound poodle type dog, was sitting in our living room with me while I read. No one was with me in the house, and I was enjoying the rare silence at the time. I was around 13, and my brother 9, and my sister 6. And my mother and father also lived with us, along with my uncle, who was rooming in our basement. Silence moments were few and far between. As I'm reading, the dog is on my lap, and I heard the back door open, and someone walk up the steps. The footfalls were incredibly heavy, obviously a man, and I assumed probably my uncle, who's a big guy and who works for the city and wears boots. Maybe he had come home early. Even the dog looked up, very excited, because he loved my uncle. So I looked up from my book and shouted, "Hey, Uncle Frank." But I got no response. So I then said, "Fine, don't talk to me." It didn't take me more than a second to realize something was wrong. Those steps continued across the kitchen. They stopped at the sink, and suddenly there was a tremendous loud crash in the kitchen. The dog took off to look and see what happened, so I followed him. When I got into the kitchen, no one was there, which, if they had left with those heavy boots, I would have heard them. And the dish strainers were flipped onto the floor, and any dishes were strewn about from the force of being thrown. Needless to say, I cleaned it up, and quietly went back to my book with the dog. I got to give this person a lot of credit. That's a tough thing to just be matter of fact about. So this person's obviously got some constitution to them for sure. Just for the sakes of fluidity in the stories, I will remain with the boots for now. Over the years, I've heard them mainly through the hallway on the first floor from the kitchen to the living room. Typically, this is when I was in the bathroom. When I finally started to simply ignore them, I was in high school. It was about my junior year, and I was having a friend of mine stay over to help finish a project that we had, and very late at night, we finished, and she was nosing through my closet and putting on all the odd things she found, my snow boots, a hat, a skirt, goodness knows what else. I had to use the washroom, so I went downstairs. And after a minute or so, I heard unmistakably the sound of boots coming down my stairs, pausing at the bottom, and then darting through the hallway past the door. Well, I, of course, thought it was my friend, so I laughed and said, "Real nice, Emily. If you're going to try to sneak, take off my boots." I walked outside the door waiting for her to come out of wherever she had hid, but she didn't come out, so I shrugged it off and went upstairs. Emily was sitting on my floor playing a video game. I stared at her for a few minutes and asked, "How did you get up here without making the stairs squeak?" She just looked at me, incredibly confused, and said, "I've been playing Yoshi's story. Why would I want to go downstairs to listen to you pee?" I then explained the situation to her, and she just laughed and said, "Ha, you have a ghost who has a crush on you." And we kind of brushed it off and even went back to playing games. I can't wait to share the next batch. Well, apparently they never did. So those are two really good stories, though. Again, maybe some of it's residual. Residual. Again, for those of you who may not know, residual and intelligent hauntings are the two major different hauntings. Residual being just like a series of events that replays. And it's very possible that these boots aren't really intelligent, that they just happen to be happening when this person is there. They didn't say it was at any specific time, but there doesn't always have to be a scheduled time for these things to happen. The one thing that makes me think maybe it isn't, though, is the fact that the dishes were thrown. That seems like a very aggressive and a very deliberate act to cause someone anxiety or just to relay that the person is upset, the spiritual energy is upset. So I don't know. But then when you go back all the other stories from something about this basement, maybe, I don't know, the whole Beetlejuice and the bug toy, love bug or whatever, flying around and not flying, but go scooting along the floor, and then the Beetlejuice head spinning. It sounds like there's some presence just there and just wants them aware of it for whatever reason. Could be something to do with the girl. I assume this is a girl that wrote the stories, because I don't know many other people that have skirts in their closets. So I'm just going to go out on a limb there, but I think it's pretty powerful. I'm enjoying listening to him. Oh, hey, Mo Homesteading, I'm enjoying talking to you. I hope I appreciate that. That's awesome. I try to put all the love I can into every story. I brought a friend, Mo Homesteading. Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys thank you, Farm, for bringing a friend, and Mo Homesteading, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. And anybody else that's new, thank you guys for coming in as well. The big thing is if you like what you're hearing, you like the feel of the show, please subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Please hit the like button. It helps out a ton too with the algorithms and getting the shows recommended. And if anybody wants to share this on their social media, please go ahead. That's fine. I would be honored. We've got like these little, I don't know what the hell kind of bugs they are. They're like gnats. Right now, and I've never seen this anywhere else I've lived. Not that I've lived a ton of places, but I live in the north tip of Idaho. And these are like little gnat-sized bugs, but I swear to God, I call them fairy bugs because they got this fluffy white like abdomen. And it looks like they're just these little fairies wearing white dresses. But there are so many of them outside, I swear to you. This is not an exaggeration. It looked like it was snowing outside today because there was just billions of these little bugs everywhere. Well, now I'm feeling them on me. I was just seeing one flying by my eye earlier. I don't know what these things are, if they are just gnats, but God, they're everywhere. It's just this weird population burst of these things. So very strange. I've never seen that before. Now, where I come from in Minnesota, we always called them scoplotches, and I don't know if that's the name for them. Some people call them fish flies. Some people call them mayflies, but mayflies are actually kind of small. But they look like mayflies, but they're these bigger version of mayflies. And there would be billions of them. In fact, living in a river town in Minnesota, we would get about 6 hatchings a year. Some of the hatchings were so bad, ladies and gentlemen, that the trees looked like, I don't know, like a cartoon version of trees, because there'd be every branch would be this huge black clump of these insects balled together. And they would weigh the tree down, and there'd be this huge clumps of these bugs up and down the shorelines for miles and miles and miles and miles. And sometimes the hatchings would be so bad, and I can swear to you this is true because my dad used to do plowing and stuff. They would get called out at like 1, 2 in the morning to go plow these bugs off of the roads, next to the river, because it would be like a foot deep of bugs. And they have no mouth, so they're these bugs that live underwater as nymphs for a long time. They hatch, they have no mouth, and they live for 24 hours just to breed, plant their eggs back in, and then die. And the fish go crazy during this period too, so it's a great time for fish and for bass. But anyway, that's not really the point. Just these bugs are the point, because I just keep feeling them. These little itty-bitty bugs, so it's kind of like a new version of that from back home. These are much smaller and easier to deal with, though. But anyway, that's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. But let me close these stories and read you another one, because I got more. And this one's coming from Florida, ladies and gentlemen. It says, my name is Brian, and I witnessed something that I've never seen before. But I'd heard about, and something that would ultimately impact my life. Sorry, that was an awkward sentence. Around December, my friend Ryan had told me that he had woken up in the middle of the night to find a green glowing light floating in his bedroom, or in his bathroom rather, which is about 10 feet away or so from his bed. Oh, he was scared at first. He hid from it, told it to go away, and it soon did. The next day, he looked it up on the internet and through Google navigation found a green orb website and started telling me facts he had researched. I believed him, but never actually checked the site for myself until tonight, and it never crossed my mind for a while. 3 months later, we were out with our friends, not under the influence of any drugs, and myself being the designated driver, and arrived at his house around 5, I believe. As we got ready to sleep, he was texting some random girl he knows. I wanted to turn the TV on because, for some reason, I wasn't tired at all. However, after him complaining for a minute or so, I decided to turn it off. A minute went by, and Ryan received another text message. Well, I lay on my side and started to close my eyes, and for some odd reason, I opened them for a split second and saw this green floating light. I blinked quickly, really thinking that I was just tired and just saw something I'd never seen before. But the green light had maybe moved 4 feet to the right, and it started expanding. Above the light appeared a young male's face. I looked at it for probably 4 seconds and then thought that maybe Ryan had got up and walked to my side of the room and had texted. And then I turned around to my left, and I didn't expect to see Ryan there, but he was. I quickly turned back over, and this orb had vanished. I instantly got the chills and turned over and said, Stanley, did you see that? Well, who the hell's Stanley? Just talking about Ryan. I don't know who Stanley is, but anyway, in a very strange sort of tone, no kidding, the first thing he said was, the green orb? I said, yeah, but the light expanded and there was a young male's face. I then proceeded to explain to him how it had a skinny chin, high cheekbones, and he looked like he may have been crinkling his lips or else had very thin lips, and I just saw a little bit of the top of his head. It appeared that he had sort of short, dark hair, but for some reason I did not see the whole top of his head. Ryan fit that description, which is why I thought it was him. I was freaked out and decided it was best to roll over and try to sleep again. Not even 5 seconds later, Ryan suddenly said, "Oh my God, Brian, look up." Below his ceiling light, which was about 5 feet in front of us, was a green orb floating there. I went under the covers and was scared. However, Ryan and I both became brave, and as we looked up, the green orb was still floating there. I suddenly had a peaceful, easy feeling. It just brings that song to my mind. Had a peaceful, easy feeling, and we started to ask it questions. We told it to go away, and we asked what it wanted, and we asked who it was. The orb just floated there for over a minute before it just slowly disappeared. I'd never been through something like that before, but as it vanished, I began to get tired. I closed my eyes, opening them twice after minutes to scope out the room and see if there was anything unusual, but did not, and I became at ease and finally fell asleep. I told some of my close friends, and some believed me, but a lot didn't. I know what I witnessed. It's been a big part of changing my life and making me become at peace with life and with God. I will never forget what I saw, and it will always be a very special moment for me. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Ryan called me up and told me that he was up late once again and switched off his lights to go to sleep. He looked up into his bathroom, and once again, the orb was there. Ryan wasn't scared, and he walked into the bathroom towards it and tried to switch the light on, but the light would not come on. He then stepped out and switched his bedroom light on. He turned it off again, and when he looked into the bathroom, the orb was gone. He then switched the flip back again, and the light turned on. Wow. I don't know. Orbs are peculiar. Are they the same thing as normal spirits? Do the colors matter? We've done some research during live shows about colors of orbs and what people think that signifies. And I don't know that I'm real satisfied with anything we found. But there are a number of people that say that, the colors of orbs do matter. Maybe it does. Maybe it's signifying something about the being or the spirit. But I don't know. It just seems like a lot of idle speculation to me. But it's just my 2 cents. Now this one is the next one is having to do with a Hispanic legend out of the tales of horror from Mexico and other Hispanic areas. Excuse me. But the state this story comes from is New Mexico. It has to do with Llorona or Llorona. I don't know how to pronounce it for sure, but which is kind of a witch-like figure from their legends, and a pretty horrible witch-like figure too. So this isn't something you'd want to encounter. But let's have a listen to the story from New Mexico. I've lived in New Mexico my entire lifetime and never moved. As a result of living in the center of the Southwest, I've heard the story of Llorona multiple times, and in many different versions. I live very close to about 2 rivers, and when I was little, I heard a version of the story where she drowned her children in the river that I could easily walk to. I never thought that I would pay it much attention, nevertheless, see her, hear her, and slightly see, but recently all that changed. I have 3 friends that are brother and sister to each other, and it was summer of 2008, and we were having a sleepover, and we had been planning this for about a month. And earlier in the day, we had bought all the food and other snacks we could imagine. We had planned to fire up the grill and make some s'mores at about 8 p.m. and just sit outside and have a good time. At every sleepover we have, it seems that the Halloween decorations seem to get taken out of the closet a lot. Well, this time, I randomly grabbed a plastic skull I carried with me at every one. 8 o'clock came around, and as we made s'mores in the front yard, it was fun seeing as I was the first, second, third, and last to set mine on fire. We walked around barefoot on the driveway for a bit. I set the skull on the wall of our patio, and after a bit, we sat in the front of the door, talking silently. During a small moment of silence and nothing to say, we heard a moan come from up the hill. It sounded outside and very close, but still far away. We ran inside, and in the haste, I nearly got shut out. We were all accounted for, and we ran into my room when we heard it. It seemed like it was coming our way, fast. We all believed it was Llorona, but we shook it off as one of my neighbors may be trying to scare us. The 2 streets we live on had ex-criminals and people with mental disorders everywhere. Yikes. Must be great potlucks. I eventually noticed that I didn't have the plastic skull with me. About 2 or so hours later, I walked through the dark hallway, switching on as many lights as possible. Right then, when I was in my entryway, I looked out the narrow window next to the front door, and I saw what looked like a misty shape of a person hovering there. It looked kind of like a woman, but I couldn't tell very easily. It was all very light, and I didn't stay to find out. I turned tail and ran back to my room. Right before I got to running half of the 2 feet into the hallway, I looked down a bit and saw my plastic skull right next to the door. I'm still not sure if that really was Llorona, but one of the friends at the sleepover, the older sister, had heard her once before, and the moaning sounded just the same. The other sister was with us, was hearing bells for the rest of the night. Yeah, I think a lot of that can be suggestion. You know, I realize that there are basis for these legends to exist. Like there probably are phantom conductors walking old rail lines, or the sites of disasters where trains might have crashed, or any number of those legends that talk of hauntings. But there's also the possibility, and if the term comes up every once in a while in the paranormal, and I think it might be more common than we think with a lot of hauntings and stuff like this. But there's the idea of a tulpa. It's TULPA. If you ever get a chance, look into it, because it's pretty fascinating. And the idea of a tulpa is that with enough energy and with enough belief or manifesting energy, you can bring into existence these thought forms. And they can exist maybe just for a period of time, but they can create very real experiences. And so sometimes these aren't just these rogue spirits out to collect children's souls. They're just manifestations of that fear. And I think that we're capable of that stuff a lot. I think that we are incredibly profound, beings of potential. And I think that a lot of times, especially in the case where these legends come to life, you think about it and you think of all of the compiled fear of anybody that has a vision of this Llorona in a culture. Well, that all of that energy goes somewhere. It goes somewhere. The one thing that I'm sure about is that energy follows intention. And so you have to sometimes guard your thoughts, because you may be breathing life into the very thing that terrifies you. And that's kind of the idea with, putting things like that out of your mind. It's not because having things like that in your mind is not already uncomfortable, because it is. And not thinking about something horrible is great. But the other side of it is perhaps those kind of things come from our ancestors warning us not to create those things. And I think that we do. I think that could be the foundation of a great number of ghost stories, is people breathing life into these fears and creating these tulpas that may grow into an existence of their own with enough energy, being cast at them. So take it or leave it, just a thought. Native Americans and skinwalkers. Oh, okay. Pharmacy says, Paranormal Portal, I think that's the same problem with Native Americans and the skinwalkers. It could be. It could very well be. A tulpa can be just as real as you meeting anybody on the street. I mean, they can be perfectly manifest and perfectly present, but they, obviously aren't supposed to be. And I think that we're capable of all that kind of stuff. I really do. I think that we do. It's just a theory. I agree. I got a lot of theories too. That's what this show is largely about. But here's the thing. We do create. If you know that you got a bad feeling, God, it's going to be a horrible day. Something's going to happen. And what happens? Something horrible happens. Now, was that going to happen, or was that a manifestation of your fear? And that's the part that is hard to know. But our fears, I think, do manifest. I think we do project them, and they do become, coalesced into some form of reality. And I think, you got to be careful with your thoughts. Mind your thoughts. You have to master your fears. That's an old edict of a lot of esoteric traditions, is master your fears. And I think that might be a good reason why, is because if you don't, your fears control you. And if your fears control you, then you may very well be manifesting those very things into your existence. It sounds superficial and it sounds silly, but honest to God, I believe in that stuff wholeheartedly. And I think that it's another one of those breadcrumbs that shows how incredibly amazing we are. We are incredibly profound divine beings by virtue of our birthright. And so, as such, we have a lot of potential. Then when people are trying to see Bigfoot or whatever, are you saying that energetically they really don't want to see it? The fear works on, on opposites almost. It's like, I'm so afraid of that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. But you're projecting the energy of this thing. And it's the more you project that energy, the more potential it could be to be manifest. Now, I'm not saying that's every Bigfoot sighting. Most Bigfoot sightings happen as happenstance. Like, hey, we're driving along and, hey, what the hell's that in the road? Well, that's not necessarily a tulpa then. That's something that probably has an existence of its very own. But could people manifest Bigfoot? Sure. I think that they could. That maybe some of the sightings are due to that. It's just an idea. Take it or leave it. If it doesn't fit, just discard it and let it go. But I really think that we are that incredible. I think that's why the media is broadcasting so much fear. Don't let them control you. That's a great point. Not to get into too much political or any of that stuff. I would say that that's a very good point. There's a reason I don't watch the news and haven't for over a decade. I do check out sources online to get some ideas of what's going on, but I always felt terrible after watching the broadcast news. I always felt, oh man, this world is so screwed up, and I realized that it was a manipulation, and so I just don't watch it anymore, and I feel so much better not watching it. Now, I don't think that you should remain uninformed. That's not what I'm saying, but I think that they have an agenda. Every news division has their own agenda. Whatever that agenda is, it's up to you to decide, but they want you to believe something. They want you to believe some way. And so they will manipulate truth in order to fit that narrative. It's, pretty much just propaganda as far as I can tell. But this is my personal thoughts. It doesn't represent necessarily anything other than just my ramblings. But, these are things that I think about a lot. And I think we are incredibly capable creators. We just don't know it. But sometimes, you look at the poltergeist phenomena, for instance. Many people believe, many parapsychologists believe that they're manifest from a person. Prepubescent female usually has somehow some subconscious PK psychokinetic abilities, and they're manifesting this around them. And it could be for any number of reasons. But if that's true, that's a hell of a lot of power. I mean, furniture gets thrown around in poltergeist cases. Excuse me, hold on. Things get smashed, things get thrown in poltergeist cases. And if they're right, and that is manifest by a person, what are we capable of? So just food for thought. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe that or not. I'm kind of torn. I can see, that there's some merit to it, but at the same time, I don't know how you can just suddenly create psychokinetic abilities, and then once you've got that all sorted out and it goes, then it's just gone. I don't know. To me, that doesn't quite make sense, but it's just probably my own inability to, make it make sense. I don't know. But that's Llorona, ladies and gentlemen, so mind your thoughts. Here's one that has to do with the Ouija board and some demons. This has come from Massachusetts. And let's see, not too long. Excuse me. All right, just had to check the time. It says, my name is Logan. I'm the first-year college student at Boston University. Or I should say Boston. I live with my parents in the backwoods of Munson, Mass., deep in the forest, off a dirt road with no streetlights for miles. All my friends love coming to the house to have parties and not to have to worry about that police showing up. Also, everyone loves the spooky atmosphere of my place. My friends and I would love hanging out outside, and I was going out with this girl named Heather. She would always really love playing with the Ouija board and asking all types of questions. One night, the Ouija board started talking really violently to Heather and started swearing at her. Well, she started to cry, and really deep and loud. I was drinking a beer with my buds and saw her face, and it was as white as snow. I kicked the board into the fire pit and yelled out that I was tired of this Ouija crap, and the board burned. I heard a loud hissing sound. I kept jabbing at it with a branch, and it took forever for the moon symbol to catch fire. I spat on the board's ashes and realize now that I must have been a little buzzed or just crazy, because I never got that angry before. From that moment on, my life has never been the same. I heard footsteps at night. My appliances either switch on suddenly when no one has touched them, or go missing to be found later in my closet or bathtub. I see different sized shadows out of the corners of my eyes, and get phone calls that sound all distorted, with a deep voice in the background speaking a strange language. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. This is only the beginning of my problems. Heather started having bad nightmares when she stayed over at my house, and I began having them too. I once even had a friend get grabbed while he was on the toilet and ran out screaming. I wonder if he left a trail or how that worked exactly. Oh, God. I found out that the Ouija board was really very old and had been given to Heather as a gift when she was in her early teens. I did some research and found out that the board was bought in Salem, Massachusetts from a lady who claimed to be a witch who used it often before she ended up giving it to Heather. I asked Heather how she could play with something that might have been used in demonic rituals or things of that nature. Well, she never really gave me a good answer. She thought everything was fun and games until that night she was crying. Heather and I broke up not long after that, so my life never stopped getting worse and worse. I have to stop for now because my computer keeps freezing while I'm trying to type this out. I'll write more at a later time. If there's anyone that can help or understands what I'm going through, please write to me. Leave a comment. I'm willing to take any advice I can get. Thanks. This story is from 2009, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm sure this person probably got the help they needed. I don't know. The Ouija board's a tough thing because I know a lot of people like to throw them in fires. Get rid of it, burn it in fire. I think probably water is probably a better way to lock it down with salt. Salt water, I guess, would be about perfect. But or burying it in soil for it to be grounded out. If it is indeed a portal, the earth is a great grounder and can be used to ground spiritual energies as well. Yeah, that's a tough thing. I don't think you should ever just throw them in fires and poke them with sticks and spit on them. You might be asking for extra trouble then. I'm just saying. Very, very, very weird. Now, this, again, I don't know that this story is 100% true. It's represented as true. Everything I share on the show is represented as truth, but is it? I don't know. Maybe. All right, here we go. The next one is Kansas. Has to do with haunted places. It says, I'm getting ready to complete my second and last year of living in Morse Hall, one of the dormitories at my college. Before moving here, I had never heard about any ghost stories or other strange happenings. Yeah, buried in a salt box. Yeah, that's true. Then buried in the soil. Yeah, that'd be a great combination for sure. Yeah, I agree. That's not a bad idea. Let me see, where was I? And Morse, I started hearing stories of students who had died naturally, accidentally, or by suicide, and that Morse Hall has quite a reputation for being haunted. Before I explain any experiences or stories, I should probably explain the layout of this building. It's divided into 5 sections: northeast, Abigail, central, where I reside, south, and southeast. Northeast, Abbey, and Central have hallways that connect them together, but South and Southeast are separated from them, except the hallway on the ground level. There's an elevator in Northeast, Central, and Southeast, and there used to be one in Abigail, but the shaft is now boarded up. Now that you have an idea of how the building is laid out, I'm going to tell you about my experiences and the strange occurrences. First, the Abigail elevator shaft used to be in operation. Apparently one night, a drunken football player threw himself down it. It's been said that you can hear a banging sound coming from inside the shaft. I've walked by this many times and never heard anything strange. Also, I heard about a basketball player either dying in a car accident or by suicide. I was told she lived on the 4th floor of Northeast. She is said to dribble her basketball down the hallway of the 4th floor, Northeast Abbey and Central, at night, and nobody on the 4th floor can hear her. But the floors below can. I lived on the 4th floor last year and never heard a sound. This year I live on the 2nd floor, and I've heard what sounds like basketball on numerous nights. Then there are the stories of students supposedly committing suicides in the closets of Abigail, which honestly wouldn't surprise me considering the size of the closets, largest in the building. A couple of my friends were watching a movie in one of Abigail's closets when they said they saw a face in the wall. Then there's the bathroom in-ground Abigail. I don't know what that means. Then there's the bathroom in-ground Abigail. People report hearing strange noises coming from below the sink, like pipes being unscrewed, and I've heard this, but I always dismiss it, thinking it really just could be the pipes, especially considering the age of the building. So here are the rest of my experiences. When I used to live in Fourth Central, strange things would always happen in my room. I would always hear the sounds of things dropping above my ceiling. I was on the top floor, so it wasn't like somebody lived in a room above me and was dropping things on their floor. Also, posters would suddenly fall down out of nowhere. It wasn't like wind blew them down or anything, because the window would be shut and they wouldn't come down slowly. They would come down like somebody was actually tearing them down. The door to the room would move quite a bit too. It would sound as if wind was blowing it back and forth, but the window would be shut and there was no window across from the room. There would also be strange noises in the room, along with things falling down from shelves or in closets when nothing was touching them. Then the orbs would show up in quite a few of the pictures I would take in the room. I'm not a strong believer in orbs, since they could easily be dust and whatnot. Anyway, this year I haven't been experiencing as much as I did in the old room. I've heard the sound of a basketball dribbling at night. My posters have also fallen down mysteriously, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for reading, and I hope you enjoyed. That was actually a problem I had when I was setting up in this room for the studio of the show. You see all the stuff that I have on the walls. I tried many different ways to secure everything you see behind me on the wall. And every morning when I'd come back down and look, everything was on the floor. Everything was on the floor. I even used duct tape to try to secure things onto this wall. Didn't matter. Nothing would stick. Everything on the wall that you see behind now is nailed there. I got tired of reassembling the studio every morning, so it's all nailed in the place, and so far that's working. But I don't know what it is. I as I've stated many times on the show, I believe that there's at least one apparition here, or one presence here. And there's probably more, because there was a suicide in this house. A young man killed himself with a shotgun, I guess, which is tragic, very, very tragic. And so I actually felt really, really glad to know that story, because it's one thing to have weird things going on and not sure what the story is. But once you know the story, then you can kind of put a personality to it. And so it wasn't nearly as concerning, because, I don't know, it just gave it a face, so to speak. And so that way it feels like I could connect to it more. But hi buddy. The Minion. It's just a popular place. But I was pretty sure that maybe the older lady, she didn't like stuff and would take it down. Hi. Do you want to come in and say hi? Okay.
Hi.
Look up there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. This is my minion, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Elijah, who is not supposed to be here. Why are you here?
Because I just wanted to join you in your show.
You just want to join me in the show, ladies and gentlemen. He's a little entertainer already. A little showman. That's good. You doing good? You know what, though? It's actually time for my show to be done. Isn't that crazy? Do you want to say anything to everybody? What do you want to say? Like maybe have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning into my dad's show. How about that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Stage fright. The entertainer's got stage fright. But, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this journey. And again, if you're new to the show, you like what you're hearing, please get subscribed and ring the bell. Become a part of the family. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. You can find our podcasts out there in the podcast universe on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Stitcher, Castbox, Google Play, and dozens of other ones. So we're out there. Just look for Paranormal Portal, and you'll find our podcast. So there's lots of ways to stay involved with the show, and I hope you'll become part of the family. Hopefully we've earned your subscription. But if not, I'll keep working on it, I promise. But anyways, love you all. What do you want to say?
And also hit the location bell.
Hit the notification bell? Nice job. Well done. Hey, say hit the like. Hit that like.
Hit that like too.
Yeah, hit the like for the Minion. If you would, please. All right, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow night with Daniela ILO, and we'll be knocking it out of the park right here on the Paranormal Portal. Good night, and sweet dreams.